Hi there. So I disappeared for a few days. I'm imagining about 10 days, but now I'm going to put together everything that I talked about for 12 days, um, sort of create a story for you um, to give you a sense of like, why is it that I leave out certain things from my story, right? So today I'm deciding to put it all together. One, because I really believe in storytelling and seeing how things come together and how they're weaved in what ways where we continue to make meaning when things are sort of brought together. I'm also doing it because sometimes it can feel like a lot of fragments are coming together, um, and that they're separate and that they don't add up to sort of anything. Um, and I like to believe that all those fragments make up like a greater narrative, right? Um, and the truth also is that I usually leave a bunch of these fragments sort of out of like whatever pitch I make or the ways that I decide to show up online because the truth is, like, I don't really believe it's that important. I'm like, oh, I'm here to do a job with you. Like, why do we need to get to all the nitty gritty? Like, I think I told my partner a while ago, I was like, why is it that when I buy toilet paper, I'm not interested in somebody's story, but when people have to buy something from me, like, I have to let them know my story. Granted, right? When I buy a product, sometimes I'm like, oh, what are the ethics and values, or like the quality of the product, right? But in the online realm, connection is what people need to feel in some way in order to make a purchasing decision that is going to change their life. That's a little different than toilet paper, right? Um, because yes, toilet paper is important, but the work I do with people requires a different level of intimacy and vulnerability, right? And so that requires me to be willing enough to be vulnerable with all of you about what it is that I have to share about my journey. And the truth is that I often believe that those are the things that were like the impediments to me getting here, right? Like um, every one of the moments that I talked about in the other videos that I'll sort of summarize shortly. I just always thought like this is the obstacle to getting to the work that I think I'm here to do. And the truth is that like every time one of those moments arose was actually sort of like me getting another opportunity to figure out how to work through something so that I would have the experience to be able to support someone else as they navigated their own journey. Right. So it became each of those moments feels like it's they're all like different qualifications. And I get to say, like, oh, I know how to do this thing. Right. So not only do I, of course, have certifications and degrees and experiences, but I also have like lived ways of being, right, that make me able to support certain kinds of people. And if you're here, you're probably one of those people, right? Because you're an ambitious, smart ass woman who's out in this world doing big shit because she knew she was going to do big shit. And she was trying to figure out how to do that very early on, right? And now you're like, oh, I want to do something, but I want to do something just for me now. I know it's going to be big and I know it's going to be important, but I want to do it for myself, not for the sake of just saying I reached and gathered another thing, right? So that's why that's if you're here, that's probably why you're here, right? Because you're reliable, you get shit done. And now you're like, oh, how can I get something done that really matters to me, that is just for me in a way that really represents and is uniquely my own, right? And so on that path to figuring that out, right? You sit there and sometimes you're like, oh, I'm blocked, or I'm in resistance to this thing, or you're like, I'm lazy, or I'm tired because I just can't get to this thing that I know is really important for me, right? Because I feel and I sense its importance, but I just can't get to it, right? Or maybe you're knee deep in it and you're like, this moment is super hard. It feels different than all the other moments that I've been in with this thing that I've been working so hard on. And I don't know what's going on, right? You may be either one of those. Or you may be someone like, damn, I did the thing that shit was hard and I did it my way, different than I've been trained and told in society to do it in a certain way. And now I'm like, oh, now what's going on in the world? I'm about to be visible. It's about to be complete. This is freaking big. And then there's all those tensions with that, right? You could be at any, or technically it could be at a few of those junctures, right? Um, and I'm just here to tell you, nothing wrong with you. All of these are very important, big moments that I imagine all creatives, and by creatives, I mean like creators in the sense of like the most holy and sacred way, right? Like we're all human beings placed on this planet to be and to create and to make things come to life, right? So as creatives, like we all go through these things in these moments, right? Um, and if you're here, then you've walked up to your project thinking it's going to be like it's been with the other things that you've done, right? You're going to do it the same way. You're going to push through the same way. Um, and the truth is that if this project is really that important to you because you've gathered a certain amount of sort of success already, the reality is the project is asking something different of you. Has a different set of requirements, is asking for you to show up a different way, for you maybe to be a different person. And that's part of the work to creating the thing, right? And sometimes what I also find is that if you're here, then you're sometimes not always asking what your body or your heart need to know in order for you to do this thing that you know you're here to do. Because those are the two things that we sort of leave behind as we follow the mind and imagination. Sometimes we forget, and the body and the heart are always speaking to us, right? And when we sit down to do this work that we're really excited to do, sometimes we forget those two other parts of our being are speaking to us. And I would say the heart is the connection to the soul. And I have found in my journey that the way the soul knows how to talk to you after you ain't been listening for a minute is like, oh, let me give you some information through your body, because the body is, for me, as you heard me talk about, the body is the thing that lets you do the thing you're here to do, right? And when you finally take some time to consult those two parts of you and really get in touch with those, you can maybe enter in relationship to the project a little differently, right? But right now, you might not be accounting for them, which is why you might be at these particular junctures. It's like your body and your heart are calling you to something and you're not paying attention, mainly because you're probably knee deep in it and there's a bunch of other stuff, right, coming up. And what might also be happening is that some of you may be like, oh, this is just something else I want to do, right? Like it's like anything else that you've done. And the truth is that it's actually not. It's actually quite different than a lot of other things you've done. And you can't enter it with the same kind of, they're sharing like attitude and intention as you have with the thing that you do on a daily basis. That this project requires something a little more sacred from you. And an acknowledgement that like the work you're doing is like actually is like a living thing that you're in relationship with. And so when I move through my story in the next minute or two, I want you to notice how I did all these things, because I walked this journey, right? And I always say I continue to walk it because I'm still writing my book. Although I have published stuff before, never like a book in my name. I don't think that's just mine. And so what I want you to remember too is that this is not just about creating like a certain system of something you create in a certain way that you do it, right? It's about like taking a moment to be like, oh, what's the other thing that's also here, right? Because the mind often reverts to this notion and this concept of like, if I get the system just right, if I get just the perfect equation, if I get just the perfect outline, if I get just then like the door will open, freedom will ring, and I will get to the thing to do this thing in a masterful way. And it's like, if you're here, that's not that's gonna only be part of the equation. So it's a little bit about my story. So I always begin when I'm like about 27. I'm sitting in bed. I can't get out of bed, mainly because my what I say is like my body was just done, right? I was like severely obese. I would like to say I'd probably be obese for most of my life according to the standards of white medicine. But at that point, I was very obese. And my mind was just like, bloop. My body was exhausted. And I was just laying on my bed and I was like, I can't even get up and go to work. And I'd finally gotten like a promotion where I didn't even have to walk that far to work. It was very simple. It was like I was finally there, and all of a sudden my body was like, "Where do you think you're going? You're vitamin D deficient. You got chronic digestive issues. My energy was gone." And it was the first time where I was like, something's wrong. Like, I can't do this thing. But I'll be honest, like, even at 27, I really thought that shit was fully physical. And that's what I want you to notice, like, through my journey is like every door and every moment is a door into understanding that it's like all connected for me. For some people, it may not be. But for me, it was all deeply connected. And I'll be honest, when my body broke down, I did not like, I thought maybe I had a mental health concern, like maybe I was super depressed. But other than that, I just assumed like something physical is going on. And I was just trying to navigate it through a bunch of doctors who would actually look into what I was asking them to look into because I was also obese. And a lot of times they just like to be like, oh, you're obese. That's why you're sick, you know? Um, uh, And that was one moment, just like this moment of like, body done. It was like sitting there trying to get my attention. What it was trying to tell me was, girl, you signed up for a job that ain't right. It requires parts of you that ain't right. Um, I was doing a lot of stuff at that age. It was super hard. Like I was like literally, I feel like I was like fighting my design every step of the way there. Uh, Not only just design and human design, but like how I'm designed to be. My body was like, hey, girl. Mm-mm. Right? Uh, and if you're a sensitive, beautiful being like me, empathetic, you know um, that when the body speaks, it speaks loud. And it had spoken loud at 27. And I didn't really think it had anything to do with my life, like my career. And I literally was just like, my body's out for the count. I pushed it to this point, right? Um, and then it happened too in grad school. My body didn't shut down, but at that moment, I had like a really big knowing that was like, oh, I'm done. Like I was sitting on the couch in the mentor's apartment, and I was like, I think everything I was supposed to get out of grad school, I think I'm done with that. And she had the most loving piece of feedback, and I was like, well, you ain't wrong. And I don't usually stop the things. I don't stop doing the things I said I was going to do, and I don't not complete things. Although they're very hard for me to finish things. But degrees, I was always like, oh, I can finish this. I was like, it has a plan, it has courses, it has requirements, like I can do this. And I was like, I'm like, I get this done in 2 years. Like, let's just get this done. Besides the fact that I knew I was done, and I knew the reason I went to grad school was complete. But I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, I didn't have the capacity to even realize, like, I've just spent 12 years, 13 years of my life working a few different careers, getting these degrees. And I'm like, but what? Right? Because I was just like, I don't even know what could this even mean if I don't finish this? What does this mean about my livelihood? What does this mean about me and what I love to do? I was like, nah. Like you could see I was just not ready to go there. And so I went on the path and I finished it. And I finished the degree, and that led me to a whole new level of burnout. That was absolutely exhausting. Uh, that also coincided with the pandemic and had a huge disillusionment with it, with my career, with everything I decided to do because of that. It was like very heart-wrenching. Um, but it wasn't until I was in my business. I think I was like 2 years in, 2-ish years in, and I had this beautiful offer. And it was like the offer that came at the turn in the business when I finally said, oh, I'm going to do a thing that I love to do. I think I'm going to do this writing thing, right? BT dubs. I'm a professor of writing. I've been teaching writing for like over a decade. I was like, oh, this is the writing I really want to do. Maybe I could do it in the business in a way that like feels great and it's going to be wonderful, right? And I did it. I loved that container. Um, I love that membership. I love the women that I met and what I could support them with and what they helped me be able to see in my own writing. Um, but I built it from this place in me that builds a lot of things. It's like, how much can I give and how little can I receive? Right? It came from this place of like, okay, I'm only going to charge so much for this. But then as the membership went on for about a year, I was like, I just kept adding more to it, but I didn't increase the price. And then I wasn't like, I was trying to launch it, but I wasn't really making that much of an effort to do it. And all along the way, there was this sense in me that was like, something's off. And I'm like consistently doing and doing and doing to try to fill it. Even though something feels in me that is slightly off after the first few months, I could feel it in the offer. And it was like a lower ticket membership. But it was hard because I loved almost nearly all its components and I really loved the people in it. And that was one of the biggest moments because I could have just followed that offer till Kingdom Come in. There was another offer that went off of it that was like a one-on-one writing mentorship. I'm like, this is it. This is my business. How I'm finna leave my full-time work. Like I'm finna do this. Like this is my jam. Like this is my gift, my medicine for the world and women and stories and writing and women. I'm like, I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm in it. And then came in the knowing that it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, both from something within me and also my guides. Like it was very clear, like it's time. And I'm like, but this is the thing I can do well. Like I know I can do it, but there's something in me that still doesn't feel like this is fully representing all the real reason why I'm like here in this business to do this thing, right? And I won't lie, I close that container with a lot of love, and I feel like a lot of respect for the women in it, but I still miss them. I still miss the camaraderie and the thing that it held up for me. And even when I close it with great reverence of like, I don't know what this means. I don't know what the next container will be. I don't know how writing in my business will look like when I finally leave the workforce and I do not have to spend my life grading. Like I cannot tell you that, but for now, I'm being called to create a new body of work, one that has to do with creating at its heart. Because what I could feel within that container, which was very similar to a previous one I created, which had to do with helping women create courses and group programs, was it's too small. That like I don't just want to help women with this particular thing. And it has nothing to do with niching. It just has to do with like, I'm here for more. Like I'm here to help women create amazing bodies of work. I have helped women with, or even organizations with like certifications, courses, group programs, blogs, right? Like there's a whole bunch of crap, right? And really good stuff that I've helped with women with. And at each of those offers, it's just felt like I'm shrinking myself to meet the market and also shrinking myself to say, oh, this is my qualification from the workforce that I can build into this offer so that I can figure out how to make a living so I can go live life in another way. But I've always known that I have spent most of my time in the workforce like Goldilocks, trying to get into and find the right bed where all the bears are and not realizing none of them fit. But basically having my own business and doing whatever the heck I want to do in it. And so that means I can also go and look into the creation of offers and offerings. And by offerings, I mean it could be a workbook, it could be a freebie, it could be a high ticket offer. Like I get to decide. And so I closed the writing corner and I opened 4 or 5 months later the Sacred Creative Studio. And that was built from a lot of my experience of feeling how good do I feel getting paid this to do this? But also came from this space of like, I want to be a community with women who are doing stuff. And I know that that's what I'm here to do. And my relationship to this offer is actually quite different from other ones in the business. Even from things that I've done in the workforce, it's much more loose. It's like, ooh, let's see how this goes. Ooh, before it was like, let me test, let me assess, and let me then reiterate. It just felt like a never-ending process versus now it's like, it feels more of like an exploratory process because I'm not so attached to the thing I'm making, but I'm more attached to the outcome of helping people in a certain way accomplish a certain thing, knowing that these are the gifts that get to come up and play along with like my certifications that I might have received. Right. And so now I allow myself to just sit and be with women who want to make shit in their business that they're proud of, that they're excited to share with people. Not because they know it's going to be like the next level of like $1 million in their business, but because they know it's going to bring forth the next level of them in their business and in their personal life. And I do that because I think what I spent so long doing in business and even in my professional life before I started a business was just seeking affirmation and confirmation. Yes, this is how I make things. Yes, this is how I make money. Yes, this is a way I can make sure I can pay my rent. Like, because there's a million ways to make money, a million ways in the business or in the workforce. It doesn't matter, right? There's tons of ways. And I think what I've spent a lifetime doing thus far is figuring out like what way feels damn good, both while I'm doing it and after it's done. That feels like the biggest question I could ever ask myself. And it's the one that guides me as I move through the creation of offers. Not because I want to make sure it feels great, but because I know no matter what, I'm going to show up and be of ultimate service to whoever and whatever I am here to complete, right? Whether it's a talk, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a membership, whether it's one-on-one work, it doesn't matter. I know deep in my heart, I always show up to ensure that the people that are there to receive something will receive something of great quality. Now the question is, now that I know that, because I spent a lot of time doubting that shit, the question is, how do I believe I am of highest and greatest service to them and myself? Because I can do a lot of stuff. I'm multi-passionate, right? But the question is like, what way feels the best for me energetically? What way in my heart feels like the way I'm most connected to myself and my guides and what I know I'm here to do and my soul's purpose in this lifetime? Like, those are the questions I get to guide the things I make, rather than like, did I do the thing and did it turn out the way I wanted it to? I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, no matter what, if you're here and you're similar to me in that way, like we make shit and it'll get done out of sheer self-will. I have 3 degrees. It got done. Right? It will get done. The question I have for myself is like, will I enjoy the process of making it? Will I look at it and be proud of it when I'm done? Because I know it represents me and the journey that I've gone on and the values and ethics that I have that I show up to my business and to making things with. Because I can't say that's always been the case for me. But now, like, that's like my guiding light. Right. And if you want to remember anything about me and what I do with people and with women like you in bringing them together in community, I will always be like, well, what do you know? More than anything, when you drop into your heart, what do you know more than anything else in the world at this particular moment? And let that knowing guide you, period. Because it'll never guide you to an absolutely horrible place. And if you feel like it will, you should double check with somebody. And 2, you will be glad to have gone that way anyway because you honored yourself. No matter what happens, after you make a decision, when you know what you know, more than beyond any knowing, you'll be proud that you went down that path anyway. I think that's the thing people don't teach enough of, right? That like no matter what decision you make, if you make it with great intention and great love for yourself, for others, and in connection with your heart, no matter what happens after, you may feel perhaps a sense of other feelings. But at the end of the day, you'll be like, oh, damn, I did something. I did something that is actually quite hard to do, which is just to honor your own knowing. In a world with so much noise and so many expectations and so many requirements and so many demands on our time, especially as women, when you do that, it's the greatest reclamation of your life, your love, your story in this lifetime at this time. All right. So I'm feeling called to pull like one card from the Earthcraft guidebook, which is a goodie. And they're just telling me it's the last card. I don't do reversals, BT dubs. Forest Tears. Number 11. Okay. They're sharing Um, they're wanting me to remind you that sometimes, like, claiming your story and deciding to walk forward in it and be in it requires some tears. And by tears, I mean like a lot of grieving, right? Because there has to be a lot of love for all the parts of you that make you who you are today. There's this beautiful song, and there's this exercise I have in my Sacred Creative Studio community membership where it's like, how much can you love all the previous women that you've been throughout your life, and even the younger girl of you? Because that's the level to which you can give yourself the freedom to create in the way that you know you want to and are meant to right now. Right. And so they're saying, what is this? What are the spaces that give you the opportunity to just release, whether it's through tears, or like some of you will, they're like, some of y'all are angry. So if you need to go out and get it out, they're showing me people who are like punching and all this other stuff. They're like, do what you got to do, but you got to release it in order to find space within yourself to have a great deal of compassion and grace and love for all the parts of you that are here to create in ways that you could not have imagined. They're saying, oh, and they're saying the connection to the forest has to do with some of you will find that in spaces in nature. And so remember your elements and connect with those in order to find that sense of vulnerability within yourself. And they said one final card. I clearly have the deck upside down. Light. Oh, yeah. They're like, some of you need to hear that there's always light at the other end of choosing to create the shit you're to create, period. And that when you do that from a place of like, they're saying like reclaiming your story for your own and the work that you're meant to do for your own, like there's always light there. Always light there. And they're saying some of you have forgotten that. And they're like, when you've forgotten that, you've forgotten the reason why we create, which is to like literally find the light within ourselves. They give us access to see even all the dark parts, the muddy parts, and all the really shiny parts, because they all get to be here. And nothing, they're saying none of it has to be resolved and done and complete just because you feel like you have to start this process. Like you have to, like, they're like, some of you have this imagining of like, you need to be this person before you decide to do this thing. And they're like, what if you just did it the way you are because you're amazing? So tell me in the comments, what story from your life do you feel like you're being called to reclaim and make your own? Tell me what it is in the comments. I'm reading each one. And my goal is to come back tomorrow around the same time, 1:30. And I will see you all then.